Redfall was a nightmare that needed months more work and effort before release, yet Arcane, Bethesda, and Xbox rushed it. It is now the lowest rated game in Arcane's catalog, and people have been roasting them for it. But now people are actually calling for Phil Spencer's resignation, saying he doesn't understand the gaming market and that releases being this broken are only damaging Microsoft's reputation. I have a few different things to show off, but before we get into the topic, if you enjoy the content that I create, please make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell. Follow me on social media like Twitter or mine so that you can see when my content is posted. And of course, if you do really enjoy the videos and the live streams that I create, please consider becoming a Dark Titan via Patreon or a supporter via YouTube memberships. So starting with this Bounding into Comics article, calls for resignation of Xbox head Phil Spencer arise as Redfall is slayed by critics and gamers. And I've already had to talk about this title once, and it is so disappointing to see another AAA release come out and be buggy and broken and just be a very underwhelming experience, because even with the bugs and glitches aside, this game you can 100% in the span of like 2 days, and I've heard so many people complaining about that online, that they literally got through everything in, one 12-hour gaming session, and they're like, what the hell, Xbox, this is what you thought was going to be acceptable. And it just seems like the team really rushed the game out. They cut content and they did not polish anything. And it's just unfortunate that another title has released this way, because we have seen a slew of them over the past few months. Forspoken, Wild Hearts, Wolong, Jedi Survivor, and now this. I just do not see a way. The games are going to keep releasing, and people are going to keep spending $70 on them when they're like this. It says, at this time of writing, Redfall has an average Metascore of 58 from critics across PC and Xbox Series X, while users gave it a far more scathing 2.35 average user score. Only 31% of users recommend the game on Steam, giving it a mostly negative rating. Common complaints seem to be the poor graphics, buggy, boring gameplay, overall just a very disappointing title. But now, in short, the game is a 5-alarm fire for Bethesda and Microsoft. Head of Xbox Phil Spencer addressed the outcry in an interview on the Kinda Funny Xcast. When host Snowbike Mike Howard asked him how he was, Spencer admitted with a nervous laugh, "Truth be told, I've had an easier couple of weeks. It'll only be a good discussion today." But it really wasn't that good of a discussion for him, because, of course, they talked about UK's competition and markets authority blocking the Microsoft Activision Blizzard acquisition and the reception of Redfall. He said, "There's nothing that's more difficult for me than disappointing the Xbox community. I've been a part of it for a long time. I obviously work on Xbox, head of the business, have a lot of friends, get a lot of feedback, and just to kind of watch the community lose confidence and be disappointed, I'm disappointed and I'm upset with myself. Revisit our process. I think back to our announcement of 60 FPS, and then we weren't shipping 60 FPS. That was kind of a punch in the chin, rightfully, a couple of weeks ago, and then seeing the game come out and the critical response was not what we wanted, and it's disappointing." And of course, he is talking about Redfall. "There's clearly quality and execution things that we can do, but one thing I won't do is push against creative aspirations of our team. Nonetheless," he admits, "we under-delivered on that, and for that I apologize. It's not what I expected, not what I wanted, but it's ours to deliver." Now, we have not heard from the Arcane team that this game was rushed out, that they, needed a lot more time, they felt, and, Xbox was pressuring them to release it, but it would make sense because this was a day one Game Pass release, and they already started marketing it weeks to months before the full launch of the title. So he's saying that, we would never push against creative aspirations of our teams, yet at the same time, they still have deadlines they have to meet, and I'm sure Xbox said, no, you can't push it off anymore. And I like Phil, okay? He launched key initiatives to push back reinforcing backwards compatibility to their platforms. He purchased Mojang and Bethesda. He launched Game Pass. He pushed an increased focus on PC gaming. I mean, the list goes on. But yes, I do think he is one of the major problems behind the company, no matter how much I like him. And with them raising the prices of games and lowering the quality seemingly, something needs to change at companies, specifically Xbox in this case, so people are looking at him going, he should leave. And while I think a leadership shakeup may change things, the failure of their recent games isn't only his fault. It's an industry problem right now. There are tons of different companies and developers releasing titles that are just not done because they're trying to meet deadlines and make money as quickly as possible. And they view it as, well, it's good enough, which is just unfortunate. It's not just Xbox, but I do think that Xbox needs a bit of help. And of course, now people are calling for his resignation. RGT85 said Phil Spencer just sounds like a defeated man with this Xbox interview. I wouldn't be surprised if he walked away from Xbox soon, honestly. He definitely did sound a bit defeated because Xbox has gotten a lot of bad news over the past few weeks, but at the same time, he still sounds passionate to me, right? He still sounds like, I'm gonna be working towards, better releases, better things for Xbox. He doesn't sound like a man, in my opinion, who sounds like he's just ready to walk away from it all. Phil Spencer is clearly emotional. He's lost the locker room. Fire him ASAP. If Redfall is as bad as it looks to be and Starfield later this year ends up being a mess, I think it's time for Phil Spencer to step down. I do think that Starfield will be the make or break for him. I think that he will stick around until Starfield, but if that fails, I think that he will be out, and I think that he should be out. I think that then he has made a lot of mistakes over the past, 2 or so years, if we're really on a timeline. And I just think that while he has, again, done a lot of good things, yeah, if he messes up again and messes up a launch that massive, he should go. Legacy Killa said, don't get me wrong, Phil and his leadership team have done great things, but their management over the studio they own has been abysmal. Along with the lack of consistency with exclusives, the reported issues on upcoming titles like Fable and Perfect Dark is troubling. I obviously want the best for Xbox. I own Xbox consoles. I will continue to buy Xbox consoles and games and exclusives, and I love Game Pass. I talk about Game Pass literally as much as possible because it's great for people who, want to cycle through different games, sometimes get brand new titles at launch. But unfortunately, yes, I do view Xbox is kind of lacking right now. They are failing in a lot of areas, and they are facing some major issues behind the scenes. A lot of their purchases are having some troubles, some difficulties, even though I think the acquisition with Activision Blizzard will still go through. Their first-party studios are apparently struggling a lot and are even restarting games after years of development. And of course, Redfall was a major, major failure for them. Maybe things will get better soon. Only time will tell, but for now, that's all that I really had to discuss in this video. Let everyone know your thoughts in the comment section down below. If you enjoyed this and of course found it important and informative, please make sure to give it a like, share it, and subscribe to the channel. And of course, if you didn't, make sure to give it a dislike. I appreciate your support either way, but I will talk to you all again in the next video really soon.